So we are clearly very interested in each other, and social media has been enormously powerful by giving us ways to express and kind of feed into that interest. Not always in the healthiest way, but also not in the least healthy way. And I think that, like, one of the things we've seen from Facebook and the way young people use it is that, contrary to popular opinion, kids are super interested in their privacy, but they want to be sociable, and they're pretty bad at figuring out when to be, what privacy choices are going to come and bite them in the butt in the future. So this amazing social scientist named Dana Boyd, who for 15 years studied marginalized kids who use social media, wrote an amazing book, her PhD thesis that Yale Press published, called It's Complicated, which is also open access. You can download it for free or buy the hard copy from Yale. And she shows how young people go to extraordinary lengths to keep their data private from one another, from kids that they don't trust, or ex-boyfriends or girlfriends, or people they're on the outs with. Facebook has this thing where if you resign your account, if you cancel your account, you can pick it back up again anytime for the next 6 months, and it'll restore you to where you were with your friends list intact and all your posts still there. So she talked to kids who, every time they got up from their computer, resigned from Facebook. So they would disappear from the service unless they were there to control how their data was flowing, right? So Facebook has rigged the game so that you will end up disclosing more than you intend to, and so that you can't control your data. Because that's a feature I think lots of people would want. Facebook's never going to give you that. If you go into Facebook's privacy dashboard, it looks like nothing so much as a craps table. So if you go into like a casino and ask someone to explain craps to you, if you know anything about statistics and maths, the thing you will realize is that every rule of craps is there to make it hard for you to figure out if it's a good deal or a bad deal.
It's complicated.
Yeah, well, the way that you make a proposition bet, which craps is, the way that you win a proposition bet is you confuse the person who you're betting against about whether the odds reflect the odds that you're offering them, right? The only reason to add complexity to a proposition bet is to confound the other person's statistical intuition. Facebook's privacy dashboard has 10 million checkboxes on it, and every one of them is there to confound your ability to figure out whether or not you're making a good privacy bet or a bad privacy bet. So kids do, in fact, care a lot about privacy. They're just bad at it, which is not surprising, right? Because privacy is hard to get good at. You know, privacy is one of those things like smoking or overeating where the effects and the causes are separated by a lot of time and space. Right? If every puff on a cigarette gave you a tumor, no one would take a second puff. It's only because you get cancer 30 years from now that anyone ever starts smoking. It's very hard to attend to those future effects. We tend to discount them heavily, and we also tend to not be able to learn from them until they've happened. You know, no one got good at penalty kicks by kicking the ball blindfolded and running home and then having someone show up 6 months later and telling them whether it went in the net, right? It's cause and effect closely married that create expertise at a practice. Yeah. It's why when cameras were film cameras and we developed 2 rolls a year, one at Christmas and birthdays and one on the family holiday, people were rubbish at taking pictures. You get your snaps back from the lab and you'd be like, good one, bad one, bad one, bad one, bad one, good one, good one. You wouldn't know what you did to make the good one. Unless you had a notebook where you wrote down the good ones, you never got good. But you take your distraction rectangle out of your pocket and you take a picture of someone and you see immediately what that picture looked like. Well, pretty soon you're so good at it that people started a multi-billion-dollar company based entirely on applying filters to them to make them not look quite so good. Because they all started to look like posed portraits from a Sears studio. We got so good at taking our pictures. They didn't even look like pictures anymore as we understood them. And so people aren't good at privacy, and kids aren't good at privacy. And so kids make dumb mistakes. And then we do this terrible thing to them, which is we call them digital natives. And we say everything they do on the internet, because they were born after 2000 or 2006 or whatever year we're calling digital natives this year, everything they do on the internet is mystically true by dint of them having been born after 2001, as though an adolescent's propensity to make errors somehow ended at the turn of the millennium, right? This is a terrible injustice to visit on children, right? To not give them the space to be wrong, right? And you know, the outflow of that is that we assume that when companies exploit their fallibility, that this is like this emergent phenomenon of the digital native phenomenon in which they know intuitively that the people they should be worried about are their teachers and not future employers, future ex-boyfriends, and future police states, right? Well, like, they're just wrong. They're 17, so they're wrong. I was wrong when I was 17. And so, yeah, I think that, like, if social media has a future, it's going to be about solving that conundrum.
Continue watching this fascinating conversation for free by clicking on the link below to visit our website, learn from the best minds in the world, and connect with a community of passionate people building the best versions of themselves. Just click on the link below, and I'll see you on the inside.